Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Count Christo and I'm joined by Space Marine, preeminent Aurora YouTuber. Say hello.
Yes, otherwise known as Defran Strategy on YouTube. I don't know why I have two different names. Don't ask me why. It's just how it happened. But yeah, we're actually two people talking about Aurora at once. This is not a
drill. You're not dreaming.
Yes, I know. Imagine that. I've had like 2 VCs with other people and when talking about Aurora before. It's a magical experience. Everyone just disagrees about everything.
I should hope so. I should hope so. And to set the agenda somewhat for today, we're going to do a Empire tour, basically. I'm going to show him around, and he's going to tell me some of some of the truly horrendous decisions that I have made, and it's going to be fun.
You're still alive. Technically,
I'm still alive. I mean, I did turn off. There's no starting NPR, so that helps with the whole surviving.
I don't usually play that anyway because it kills the game speed.
Yes, that is my experience as well.
Especially when we're playing low research rate and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
To do anything.
Yeah.
Because I believe you said you're playing 25%.
20%.
Okay.
So for my audience's benefit, some of whom are very new to Aurora, who are you?
So I am a guy who knows too much about spreadsheet game. Essentially speaking, when C# came out back in the oldie COVID times in 2020, I started up a YouTube channel because there was no one who was making tutorials for the game, as the game just released in April of that year. I start by just making short tutorials, then I started making Let's Play content, and by doing that for literally every single day for about a year or so straight, people got the idea that I was good at this game. Debatable. And so I've got a bunch of tutorials on. A lot of what you'll see on YouTube, if you look for a tutorial of Aurora, you'll probably find my channel.
That's certainly been my experience.
Yes. Because there are other people who made content, especially back, like Enter Elysium did event a long time ago, to the Quill, in like 2020. But I'm the only one who's like made proper like long form tutorials and tutorial content.
Yeah.
And I just found them out at Count Christo doing content recently, and so we've set this up. And have you started game time already?
No, I just saved. I
saw the circle.
I saved. It's all good.
Okay.
So that's who he is, and you should. I'm definitely not going to do any like in-depth tutorial stuff. I liked doing the ship design thing just because that was fun.
I found that fun. But besides, like some of the mechanics was wrong.
I'm sure they were.
Concept was good.
Well, that's why the title had the word concept in it. So it's all good.
I tried to like make disclaimers like, please don't.
But yeah, if you want to get into playing Aurora yourself, I know a lot of people watching have started their own series and have questions and stuff. One great place is the Aurora Discord. Another great place is his tutorials.
If you just go to the Aurora Discord, there are channels with my videos in. There are also the Discord's so helpful. There are so many amazing people in the Discord. Same with like my comments. The game, because the game is pretty niche, it attracts really constructive and good natured people.
It does.
Who are nerds and know way more than even I do. So,
right.
I'm just brave enough to make content.
So, nice enough to make content. So let's take a look here. So one thing that will be helpful for explaining the current status of my empire is that I have a system and planet designation prefix system.
Okay.
So
I have something similar. But...
Cool. So on planets...
Wow, yeah. Jeez, that population growth, man.
Yeah, we have a big population.
I don't usually get to this much.
Fair enough. Whereas I feel like we're just starting on this one, but...
Really? Okay.
So this is... Yeah, so on planets, number one is this is per system. Every system has a capital world. So far, I haven't had to actually worry about having multiple mineral storage places in one system. We've just gone with everything on the capital world or going to the capital world. So we have a capital world.
It's very common.
Then number
the
two...
game incentivizes centralization.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, definitely. Makes it way simpler. And then a 2 world, which we currently have none of and are rare, would be a major population center with local industry. So right now I only have industry on one planet per system. That's the only exception is Sol, where we've shipped out some research bases to save population and stuff.
I would say, like, You don't really need to diversify like most construction. Something that I sometimes like to do is I like to diversify maintenance construction.
Yes.
On worlds, because it means it's short trip for the minerals and it's quicker trip to get those maintenance supplies to like outposts and stuff.
Sure. So what I've done, to skip ahead slightly, what I've done for that, if I have my naval organization, which I'm sure we can talk about at some point, but what I have
God, it's a bit of a mess, and I feel you.
instead of doing that, what I have is, where have they gone? I've lost them. Aren't they itinerant freight? I guess I'm using them for something else.
The classic of all problem.
Anyway, yeah. So what I've done instead is I have various long time on station deployed fleets, garrison fleets, specifically to fight the Dark Eldar, who I... Yep. Oh yes, so it's worth noting, I completely just refer to everything as if it were exactly the 40k.
Oh, that's how Steve does it.
Because it's just fun.
If you look in the database, that's actually what they're called.
I saw that, yeah. So I have maintenance facilities on a bunch of worlds, but right now they're all just switched off, and I have a ship which takes out maintenance supplies with which to run.
Yeah, are you using cycle orders for that? With order delay?
No, order delay. I didn't know that existed.
Yes. So this is how you do refueling usually. So how I do refueling is I'll have a harvester station, right, above a gas giant.
Yeah, like these two.
And it'll harvest 10 million liters of fuel every year.
That's
My
cute.
tanker will be able to hold 10 million liters of fuel. And then I put a cycle order, which is in seconds. You can see it, this order delay.
Where am I looking?
Left-hand side where minimum available value is, and add move.
Ah, okay, yeah. I've literally never read that.
You do 15 million seconds. I forget the...
Sure, yeah, whatever it is.
That'd be 180 days. So assume that we have 5 million liters of capacity on our tanker. We've got 10 million liters mining on the fuel being produced. That means we need to visit every 180 days.
Right.
And then you can extrapolate this to sending maintenance supplies everywhere. So if you know you use 10,000 maintenance supplies every year, you can extrapolate the same thing.
Yeah,
so it
I
means
can see
you're
that.
constantly sending stuff like...
Sure. No, yeah, how I worked that out was essentially I have a fleet capable of taking the sufficient maintenance supplies to keep something stocked for 10 years, and then I only have to do it once every 10 years.
Yeah.
But I agree that that's less efficient than, a far smaller fleet doing it more consistently. With tankers, though, why not just have them... Why do you not want them just sitting at the tanker? Because this order setup just has them sit at the tanker until they're full and then go.
So that doesn't have them sit at the tanker and wait until they're full.
Oh, does it not?
What that does is they're going to refuel, right? So they will refuel as much fuel as above the minimum of those.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
Obviously, you have a ton of them, so it means it may fill the tanker anyway.
It usually won't, because I tend as soon as the tankers as soon as these start getting higher, I add more tankers to this.
Yeah, you're making a lot of fuel. Okay, you're making a lot of fuel. So it's going to be the scales might trick you in terms of what's happening. But essentially, they will get as much fuel as possible, and then they will complete the order of we're going to move to the capital and transfer the fuel.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Very good to know. So they are wasting fuel by doing this.
They are wasting fuel doing multiple trips back and forth. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, these things are very fuel efficient, I would imagine.
They're not too fuel efficient, because I did want them to be faster than the Dark Eldar, but they're not unfuel efficient.
Yeah. Okay.
Remind me, how much do these guys use?
Yeah, you can check. I'm surprised how few ship designs you have.
Yes, I've kept it fairly simple. I have no carriers, I have no fighters, I have lots of stuff that I could get.
So you started to scale up a little bit.
I always go with cruisers and destroyers, but my destroyers have no offensive capabilities. This is a picket destroyer, essentially.
Yeah, that was like a destroyer escort.
Where is my tanker? Oh, there it is.
There we go.
So they are using...
I mean, that's very fuel efficient, really.
Well, yeah, I just mean that it's only 50%.
1.12%.
It's pretty good.
1.2%.
It's pretty good.
Right?
I just upgraded to internal fusion, so everything has got, and I basically standardized up to
inertial
500.
fusion.
Inertial fusion. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Internals very early, but and also like I have standardized all of my civilian ships up to 400 hull size now, so that I don't have to. I used to have a bunch of smaller ones as well, and some running 40%. But I've basically the idea is I want them all to comprehensively outrun the Dark Eldar, so I don't have to worry about.
You get more complex into like refueling operations. You can go like. Sometimes what I like to do in minerals and refueling is have local in-system versions that are much smaller and carry a lot less, and then carry this collection point, and then have very large fuel-efficient things that are doing massive journeys, right?
Yeah.
Back and forth that have tons of capacity. and this especially helps when you get like 20 systems, like when you're getting a ton of like trying to manage things.
Sure.
Yeah. But no, like this tank, I imagine, on the grand scheme of things, it's not really going to waste much fuel.
No, it's definitely
how much? Like 120 million.
120 million at one of them. 130 at one of them, and 32 at the other one, which is good because before the most recent upgrade on my fleet, my mainline military fleet running for 4 weeks consumed 80 million liters of fuel.
That's not a cheap amount of fuel, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not. But that's because I had 30,000 tons.
You know what's scary is like when you build a big empire, like I'm gonna build all these ships. Then you look at the cost of like, especially if you do missile ships, the amount of missiles you expend in one engagement.
It's quite comprehensive. I mean, that was let me rerun the numbers on that real quick. So one of my cruisers, Castiel class cruisers, uses 300 for a full complement of missiles, is 394. At one point, I had 12 of these. And these are size 6 missiles. So, I mean, let's just plug it in. On the Guillotine Mark IIIs, that would have been just a tiny little 40,000 gallon site.
Now, the good news, okay, is when 2.2 comes out, that'll be half that number.
Oh, so really?
Something. Yeah, missiles are getting a massive rework at the moment.
Cool.
For 2.2, there's going to be like laser warheads. There's going to be targeting systems. They're going to incentivize non-box launcher missiles.
That's good because I already use non-box launcher missiles.
Exactly.
So I will be very happy with that. I've heard.
People may know are the meta for using missiles.
Yes.
Essentially, think about it like modern naval warships.
Of course.
Essentially, you fit 96 launchers on a 10,000 ton hull.
Sure. So
very powerful.
Let's. Not that I mind going wildly off topic because that's all in good fun. All in good fun. But let's go back slightly. So, 1 capital world, 2 major population, 3 populated mine, 5 mineral planet of some variety, meaning if it's a deposit, like the place we're depositing minerals, but it doesn't have a population and industry. 6 fuel depot, which right now we don't have. I don't think I have any fuel depots that aren't just capital worlds because the lower number takes precedence.
So for me, like I'd have a fuel depot and a maintenance capacity support in pretty much every single inhabited system.
Yes, I have done that. The thing is, all my inhabited systems have capital worlds, so basically they're.
You've basically just changed the effective name for
sure.
In terms of, I'm going to imagine, I'm very scared for your empire. If you said you haven't done ground forces before, if any of those planets get invaded,
they won't
just lose like 50 million pop, like a meteor.
They won't. They definitely won't because nothing could ever go wrong. My defenses are impervious.
So here's a fun bug that was in the last version.
Oh yes,
Raiders could teleport their forces onto your planet from distance.
I did see that one. Yeah, that would be bad.
Luckily, I think that's out of the game at the moment.
It was at least claimed to be out, so with a bit of luck.
And that would be very funny.
Yes. And then 8 is just populated planet, but not doing anything else except growing humans. And then nothing is automated mines.
Growing humans and also growing your difficulty rating as well.
Yes, so talk to that a bit, because this is something you were explaining to me the other day.
So basically, the facts are, is when you play low research rate, you're waiting a lot of time, and then you're growing your population at your standard population growth rate. Now, Aurora, everyone's using aphrodisiacs in the water, apparently, because the growth rates are ridiculous. Because of this, the MPRs, and the fun fact is MPRs, and not really spoilers, I think spoilers can, I'm not sure, I think they're less, they're more of a set force. But MPRs base their size of their fleets, the size of their ground forces, the size of tech, off how long the game's been going on, and how long the population's been going on, and that's balanced for a normal research rate and a normal population growth. So what happens is let's say you have 8 billion population. If you spawned an MPR right now, that's going to take that into account, and it's going to be a very, very scary MPR. But if your research rate is really bad, okay, you may have ion tech. And they may have solid antimatter core. Okay.
Sure. At which point you have a bad time.
Fun. Yeah, it's not fun to deal with that. You can win. I've done it, but it's not fun.
Sure. Fortunately for us, I think it's taking into account research rate when it spawns them, at least on their starting tech level.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Of course, the setting to lower research rate is universal.
Yeah.
So they'll start with more tech, but they won't research as fast. Okay?
Do they start with more? If they start with more
Yes.
tech, their ship designs must be just truly horrendous.
Because
if we look
So,
at,
for example, the race I told you about that I fought in that German series,
yeah,
they were 4 engine techs ahead of me, but only 12,000 kilometers per second, or 10,000.
yeah.
So, if that was a meta player ship, he could easily be going 16, 20.
Yeah, whereas these guys, so I'm trying to remember which of these were their ships when they still had any. I think this is one of their
looks
main.
like an MPR, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Fun fact, you can tell by the profile picture.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yes.
So this is the Dark Eldar.
That's
We,
Dark
for some reason,
Eldar.
have the Kazakh flag on both games I've loaded, but and then these
The
are
only
the
one this isn't true with is Invaders.
Invaders. Oh, really?
For some reason, Invaders profile picture is, I think there's a couple of them, but there isn't one just set.
I should mod in the Extraterrestrial Invaders Stellaris profile picture because that's pretty cool. Anyway, I know you're not a huge fan, but these guys, where are they?
I played some Stellaris in my day. I think I've got like how many hours? Maybe 300.
Fair enough.
Played a little.
But yeah, these guys,
not as much as E4.
let me get my. I can't.
Oh,
it's hard to see
spreadsheets. This is what people want to see right here.
So this is the data that I collected that I thought was necessary on this monarchy, guys. Highest observed feed of 4,000. Like,
It
not.
sounds like Ion Tech.
Yeah, I haven't actually salvaged any of their wrecks yet, but I will be soon because we just wrecked their entire fleet.
Yes.
And it was,
like
as you can see, it was
very big.
Substantial.
They had a lot of stuff, it seems like. So that is one consideration when you're playing Research Rate. This is why I recommend, obviously, to change your racial growth rate. I've done this in my later series that I'm doing. So currently, for example, on Earth, I would be growing 0.5% annual growth rate. And that's with a pop growth advisor.
Sure.
And then on like a 10 mil colony, I'd get 2.5%, for example.
I feel like that would I might well try that for my next, and I'm obviously just going to do my next series whenever either this one runs out, but either way, I'll do a pause until
hopefully when 2.2
whatever it is, 2.2, yeah. But even so, I'm so short on workers. I feel like I'm short because I'm constantly bringing people back to Earth from
that's
some
the
of the
point
ones that
of
are just
colonies, really.
Yeah,
The point of the colonies is growth rate.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely internalized that. So let's look at what we do have in terms of colonies. Sol is almost out of minerals. At least it's
Like
it's
completely in
collapsing.
everybody.
No. But it's collapsing pretty fast on some crucial stuff. So corundium, for example, corundium in Sol, IO has gone from 1 to 0.4, which is hurting. And I should be putting more auto mines maybe on Gong actually to rip some of this out faster. I'm now realizing. But yeah, we've most of that is gone, and then the other stuff that we're currently crunch timing on
It's Galasite,
of course. Yeah.
Do you boost your engines?
Oh yes, my military engines now. Well, my ships are way better than they were. Part of my problem was I was
design
running
or bad attack?
no, bad design for sure.
Okay.
But I had them at low boost to start with, which meant I was just making ships that were like 75% engine, which was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But we've hit a fairly good medium. Let's do a little ship doctrine look for a second.
I can get very critical. How nice do you want me to?
No, you go ahead. That's fine because I'm not I'm not attempting to play.
You're not attempting to be you participate in the 2023 Jewels of Aurora.
No, I'm not.
The championship circuit.
But I hope you will be happy to see. It is exactly 30,000 tons, and the destroyer is exactly 15,000 tons, and they both go exactly the same speed.
That saves you. That makes you feel happy about your design.
So let me tell you what I'm thinking before telling you why it's bad. So the idea is this ship needs to travel at 10,800 kilometers per second, which is the combat speed of my fleets.
Okay.
The peacetime speed of my fleets is 6,000, so all of my support ships need to be able to go at 6,000, so they can travel around when not in combat at least that speed. That's designed to exceed...
That's to beat the Raiders.
Yes, that's designed to beat the Raiders by 50%, meaning even if they get a substantial upgrade, I suspect we'll still be able to stay ahead of them.
Yeah, so here's a fun fact about that, by the way. The Raiders don't get better unless they salvage stuff, because that's how they grow.
Yes, I thought that was right.
Yeah, so if you're not giving them anything, that's a problem. However, if you don't salvage those wrecks of the NPR, you can have a raider problem real quick.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay, that's very good to know. I will bear that in mind.
Think of them like you can actually abuse this, by the way. Destroy like a big ship of yours and use it to attract them like flies, and then kill them all.
That is a fun idea. And it's designed to be deployed for a very short period of time because it has before I went to this tech, it had a 200% engine, so it's burning huge amounts of fuel. Yeah, each of these is burning 2.4.
That's a pretty fuel efficient cruiser, to be honest. For me, anyway, that's pretty fuel efficient.
This one is what I did when I went to this tech level is I just took 40% off, giving me the same speed at the same size.
Can you
but much more
describe your fleet doctrine?
Yeah, sure. So my fleet doctrine consists of 3 military vessels in 3 defining roles. Number 1, the simplest, there's the destroyer escort. The destroyer escort, counterintuitively, is not an escort ship. I designed it to be an escort ship.
But the destroyer is.
I designed the escort ship to be an escort for civilians and fight off Dark Eldar. But I quickly decided I didn't actually need to do that because I can basically defend my civilians simply by having massive quantities of passive sensors and then having these ships be so much faster than the Dark Eldar that if I get my spacings right and the relative speeds right, I'm always going to be able to react within this space before the Dark Eldar
you have
quick
reaction forces, right?
Yes, yes. So there were going to be a destroyer escort. There were going to be an escort that goes with them, but they're not. They still have a very long deployment time and a very long maintenance life, at least compared to my other ships, which means that they can go and sit on capital worlds.
You know what this reminds me of? If this was a commercial, it also reminds me of like a Q ship.
I have no idea what that is.
So a Q ship is basically a freighter that's underneath. It's basically they bolted on that it looks like a freighter, right? And underneath it's a military ship, okay? And they fit a bunch of missile launchers in there. So what happens is the idea is you attract a raider, and then surprise, we'll release 100 missiles at them at once, okay?
Okay.
It comes from Honorverse, and also from real life. Where you have like a big freighter that underneath's a battle cruiser.
That's pretty wild.
Yes. So what you can do in Aurora to analog that is you can make a ship with commercial hangars, like a freighter, and then have a big ship inside of it. And then as soon as the raiders come, drop a battle cruiser out.
That is fun. I like that.
So what were you saying? This doesn't work.
It does. It just doesn't work at the intended function. But it's fine. I've adapted the new function. And this one is not box launcher, but pretty small.
Very reduced.
Yeah, very much reduced. The idea is this can, with a single strike of about 15 to 20 missiles, this can trivially kill the current ships that the Dark Eldar are sending. And it uses a very, very short range missile. This one here, the anti-Dark Eldar anti-ship missile.
Yeah. What's the range on that?
Not much. I think it's 10.
10 million.
Yeah, 10 million. I mean, yeah, it's not too short, but some of my other ones, I don't think I have one now, but some of my others were more like 100 million, which is how I was defeating. Well, we never actually fought precursors. I found some precursors, but I also found the NPR at the same time. So I just ignored the precursors while I deal with the NPR because it seemed like the, higher threat
the
since they were
threat.
going to scale. Yeah.
They just wanted to be friends. Why
They did want to be friends, but that's not how we
It's not allowed in the
Xenophobia is really in this year. I don't know if you've heard the song.
Okay.
But
it's really in this year.
Yeah.
The song.
It's a good one.
So
it's 9 warhead strength, shortish range, going pretty fast. Not as fast as the axe. So I designed the axe and the guillotine. I'll talk about them in a second. But size 2, nice and small, so I can fit tons of them on. Very basic missile, no agility.
It's a very small missile.
Yeah, nice and diddy. Which means I can put a bunch of them on the destroyer escorts, which are destroyers and hence very small, just 10,000 ton little things. They have very low armor because the idea is they can always detect and destroy the enemy long before they're in range.
If you're getting hit, then you're probably dead anyway.
Well, I mean, I did have to do a hot jump into the NPR, but I can tell that story later, which is why we have like 16 armor on the missile cruisers.
That's like a battleship to me. That was like not a cruiser.
So that's the destroyer escort. Pretty simple, shortish range. They've got some pretty, some not that long range missile fire control and sensors. I now realize that I designed this sensor is twice the size it needs to be for the missile fire control. But anyway.
Missile fire control is very small, so it's fine.
Yeah. But it's got 3 of them, so I can split my fire more easily. And that deals with the Dark Eldar fairly trivially. They've started sending slightly larger waves. But I can just go from having one of these to 2 of these.
If you want a bigger challenge, just feed them.
I could, but I don't. That's all good. I like scaling.
So you like supremacy?
I do. I like supremacy and scaling and economy. So the main fleet, we only have one type of main fleet, which is a mixed cruiser-destroyer fleet, and with a flag cruiser. So the cruisers are missile ships. Oh yeah, it's worth mentioning. The only weapons we have any research into are Gorse and missiles. And I will invent lasers as well, but right now that's all I know how to do, which is why there's so few stuff here, basically.
So a missile, basically.
Basically. So this is the missile dude. It can hold about 394 missiles, I think, which ends up being almost 10 volleys from its 40 missile launchers.
Yeah, I mean, my concern with this ship, I'm not sure what's going on with your deployment time. Personally, I'm 12 months minimum for all my military ships.
It's simply
that they're very small.
It's simply that this ship goes to the enemy, fights the enemy, and then either dies or goes home fast because of its fuel capacity.
You've essentially got what the Germans called fleet in being.
Yes.
As a doctrinal concept.
Yes, that's basically.
My concern is that unless you have quite a few of these ships, I mean, 40 launches is not nothing. However, speaking about these precursors, they could probably handle this salvo fine, and then you've got a magazine sitting there doing nothing, which is why, again, box launchers are the meta. So you're going to need to have a lot of these ships, and the cost of these ships...
They are very expensive. They're very expensive. Ships. I suspect... I mean, I don't know. I can't remember the exact precursor tech level. My strategy for them being able to shoot these missiles down would probably just be, like, make them a lot faster.
Yeah, so one thing that you've been neglecting heavily, that is incredibly powerful, is electronic warfare.
Right. Yeah, so I have one level of anti-ECM. Yeah, go for it.
How it works, right? So you have electronic countermeasures and electronic countermeasures, okay? Yes, they're named annoyingly like that. ECM can be applied to a ship directly, and you just need one. Once applied, it effectively speaking, let's assume the enemy has no electronic warfare equipment, okay? That enemy, if firing a beam weapon, will take a 10% negative to hit that ship. And it scales like that. So ECM 20, 20%, 30%. So let's say you have a 50% chance to hit base. You're now 30%.
Oh, I see what you mean. It applies additively. Yeah, got it.
Exactly. It doesn't like point times 0.2. Okay.
Sure, yeah, it's not multiplicative.
Not like that. Okay. So, and then if you've got a missile firing at you, same deal. Okay. This makes this extremely powerful. The second thing is if you've got a missile, you can add ECM or ECCM on for 0.25 MSP, missile size point. And that does the same thing to the enemy ship. So if their PD's firing at you and they've got a 20% chance to hit because they're firing its very fast missiles...
Yep, you half it.
0% no.
Oh, if you have the second level. Yeah.
That is why it is so powerful, because if they don't have as good if they don't have enough ECCM, basically if you match that ECCM to the ECM, then it cancels out. Okay? But that ECCM needs to be applied to each fire control, so you need multiple.
Right.
So it's a lot more expensive to defend than to attack with that.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm definitely going to try and play with some of that.
The point is, in the game at the moment, because of how it works, ECM is ridiculous, and if you don't have both, once MPRs start getting higher tech or races get higher tech ECM, you may legitimately lose 30 to 40% off your the final hit chance. Okay, on all your weapons.
Yep, which obviously is utterly crippling.
Exactly. So that's how missiles can really get very scary, and why you should keep on your electronic warfare technology.
Makes sense. I will be investing more in that in the future.
Oh yeah, and also, if you have ECM, it reduces their missile fire control effective range as well. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yes, makes sense. I've definitely experienced that.
It is less talked about.
Sure. Okay, so that's the cruisers. Oh, they have a lot of armor because we had to hot drop in. Previously, they were at 8. But basically, I cranked this up to 200%.
Do you know what squadron jumper is?
Yes. So I'm finally getting the text, so I'm actually going to be able to do that.
You can do that from the start.
Yes, but I didn't have. I wouldn't have been very far away, essentially. Because we were jumping in. But basically, because they spawned with just such a, they spawned with like whatever it was, 1.5 million tons of military hulls or something, and they were all on the jump gate essentially.
Yeah.
So
one thing you do, even if your distance is not that far. So two things: distance is variable when you jump, jump through a gate, and also even if your distance is not that good in terms of your tech level, doing squadron jump is better because you get basically no jump delay.
Yes, that would have definitely saved one of my fleets, the jump shock. Yeah. So on the research around jumping, if we go to completed here, this jump radius is the furthest. So it's random, but this is the furthest possible. Okay. So going from this to this, on average, doubles the distance that you will be away.
Essentially, yes, but you're not guaranteed, unfortunately.
Sure.
Sometimes this can cause obviously some issues, and also the area which you jump out is also not determined, obviously. So when you jump through, you could jump out like 90 degrees to the left.
I got it. Yeah.
So there are tactics, and this is what I did in my German series, where you squadron jump to beat a faster opponent by surrounding them on the other side.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like multiple squadrons.
Yes, but to do this, sometimes you just get duds. Okay. As in, sometimes your fleets all come out on one side, and you have to go back to the jump point and try again. and then, and the AI doesn't really understand it. But that's how I beat, for example, those people who are double my speed. Is heavy armor, long range weapons, and then jump all around them at once, and so they don't know where to go, and then you just close in and you kill them, like that.
Right.
So jump point to your friend versus high tech opponents, 100%.
Good to know. Good to know. So, missile cruiser. Oh yeah, it's got auxiliary control bridge, CIC, and main engineering. I have no idea how particularly valuable they are, but I very much like them from an RP perspective, anyway.
Main engineering gives you the engineer role. It basically reduces your IFR. It means it gives. So basically, the engineer has a chance if I'm understanding this, if I remember correctly, has a chance to roll every time you need to repair something. You don't use any MSP.
Okay.
So that's a big benefit, obviously.
Yeah, that's very good.
The combat information center, if I remember, you have the guy in it. You add
his reaction
hit rate.
I believe it's also his reactions. Yeah.
Yes, and the auxiliary control as the executive officer, which just adds a bunch of extra bonuses.
Yeah, training is the one that I remember, but there might be others.
Yeah.
And
they're very good and good to have. So 100%, they're not not just RP. They're just actual.
Oh yeah, no, I knew they were somewhat good, but I just didn't know. I don't know, like. It's very difficult for me to mathematically compare a CIC to like an extra missile launcher.
In the war, generally speaking, bonuses, like percentage bonuses, are really, really strong.
Makes sense.
Really, really strong.
Makes sense. They don't cost minerals.
Yeah.
To scale the thing. Yeah.
And like for example, like production, if you get like a 50% production guy in your home world, that's like 400 construction. Factories.
Yeah. I had a 50% terraforming guy, governor, that I was just moving around. Yeah, it was lovely. So, other things about this doctrine, we have a jump drive on every ship. This is something that I'm trying to get rid of.
Yeah, you must have realized that that's a bad idea.
I mean, to be fair, it's like, what is this? 8% the size of the end of the ship being used on the jump drive. But yeah, so I'm gonna transition it, and I guess what I'll end up having is a jump class cruiser. Because I don't want it to just be the flag, because I don't want to have multiple flags. That'd be annoying. But I'll probably have a jump class cruiser, which has it, and then has it for one of those for every 4 others or something.
That'd be a jump tender. Generally speaking, I'm someone who probably doesn't put as many jump engines on things as I should. The issue with the jump engine is not only like the size, it's the cost and the amount of maintenance you're paying out for it, and when you apply that across fleet, it's really, really bad.
Sure.
Obviously, that cost goes down when you get it kind of minimizes as you get if you make bigger ships.
Yeah.
But especially at like a small ship, it just crushes you.
I'm sure on the destroyers it's more of a problem because the destroyers also have that.
Yeah.
Where is that? This one.
It's like you removed that though. You don't have it on this.
That's true.
because if you were with your cruiser the entire time, you can just jump through normally anyway.
True. Well, I've never noticed that. That's funny. I also have stabilized like all the jump points, basically.
A jump drive can jump an infinite number of ships as long as it's within the capacity. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, as long as I'm not trying to squad jump, right?
Yeah, as long as you're not squad jumping, then you can jump as long as we're in capacity as much as you want.
Yeah, that's not been a problem. And then so this is the destroyer. The destroyer's job is to house 9.
You kind of got that backwards. You've got the escort, which has all the weapons. And the destroyer, which has all the point defense.
So we got all the point defense on here. Yeah, we got 9 twin Gauss turrets. My range is matched to my fire control.
What's the chance on that? 85? Okay.
Yeah, so I loaded to 85 simply because I was under the impression that basically otherwise there are situations where I could be wasting it. In the sense that if it was at 100... Sorry, good.
Here's the thing with Gauss turrets, okay? So Gauss turrets are better than railguns at a certain attack level for point defense because they can be put in turrets, right?
Yeah.
The reason why they're not good without turrets is because their hit chance, when you design the Gauss cannon, is very heavy if you want 100% and very low if you want less. This means Ghost turrets are a lot less predictable in what they can hit because you'll have them on average. Now, the problem that I'm talking about with your Ghost turret is, one, generally speaking, the optimal is 17% because there's a small rounding there where the scales get you a little bit more hit chance, but that's fine, whatever. The reason that I have an issue with your Ghost turrets is because of how gear works on turrets themselves. Yeah. You have twin. Yeah. If you just made those quad instead, you would save probably like 500 tons on...
So that's definitely something that we did before. The older versions of the destroyers had quad. The problem was the number of volleys coming in dramatically exceeded the number of shots that I could put out. And since one quad turret could only shoot all of its 40 rounds, or however many it would be, all of its whatever, at one salvo, it meant that they were overkilling some salvos and letting other salvos through. So I essentially did this to increase the total number of weapons.
Were you getting shot at from 2 different directions?
No.
That shouldn't matter.
That's weird. It certainly seemed to, but it's possible that I misdiagnosed that.
As long as they're not coming in, like, because each of the salvos are targeting a different ship as well, right? Usually? Because that's the AI kind of like targets. Like, how do you target something?
No, they will have dramatically over-targeted me because they were like 5 times.
They either over-target one ship that's the biggest ship with the biggest sensor. It's a usual situation. Yeah. Or they target multiple different ships, right? So how it should work, as long as the missiles, so when the missiles fly towards you, okay, they're going to be staggered because they're firing, like, let's say every 5 seconds, they're firing missiles out their tubes. Assuming they do that, okay, that as long as it's more than 5 seconds, or at least 5 seconds-ish, your Ghost turrets are firing every 5 seconds. Your fire defensive fire is on 10,000 kilometers per second.
Sure, yeah.
That means that you should be able to burn through each salvo. You shoot each salvo as it comes in. So the only way that would change is if you had 2 fleets firing at you from different sides, and they fired at like the similar time, because then, you know, one salvo would come in on one side. Yeah. You'd fire, and then on the same increment, the other salvo would directly come in. But if they're firing it all at once, it's one salvo, technically speaking. So it comes from that one fleet.
I see what you're saying. I'll need to test, because I feel like I established that was not the case. And obviously you know better, but the situation... So you're saying that these two situations... You can see me drawing here, right? Yeah. Cool. So what I experienced, and I could well be wrong, is that you have 2 potential... Why is that so large? Hang on. There we go. You had 2 potential scenarios, right? This is enemy fleet shooting missiles at me. We've jumped on effectively on top of them. So here's my destroyers trying to stop people getting...
does that define as an entire enemy fleet? One fleet, as in
whole enemy fleet here. And in this case, this particular NPR, they had a crap ton of size 1 launchers. Okay. So my destroyers are here trying to stop stuff getting through to my cruisers, and they fire, in the first instance, they fire, let's say, 40 salvos of 5 missiles. And in the second case, they fire 40 salvos of 5 missiles. So obviously, we're trying to deal with 200 missiles. Sure. And we've got, let's say, in the first case, we have... what we're using here. This is firing 5 per Gauss cannon. So there's various different ways we could defend from this, right? And what I seemed to happen was, if we had a quad turret like this should be firing 20 rounds, right?
Sure, with one. If you got rate of fire 5 and you got quad, it 4 barrels.
Problem was is that what it seemed to do is that those volleys are coming in of 5 each, and what it would do is it would fire 20 rounds at this, destroy it, and then not shoot at these. And then, whereas if I had 2 10s, it would shoot them at the first 2, and then not destroy the other.
So, okay, well, are you saying the turret is shooting at it, or the ship?
Specifically in the combat log, it would say, point defense summary. This quad Ghost Lieutenant has engaged this salvo with 20 shots and destroyed this many missiles, and then it would go on to the next one.
So,
and then essentially there would be 200 coming in, and I'd have 300 potential max shots, but because it had fired them at only half the salvos, the others just came in.
And I'm gonna bring because there was a rule change, right? That was made from VB6. And it had to do with salvo targeting for fire controls. And if I remember the rule correctly, yeah, there it is. A second. Fire defensive fire changes. So, in VB6 Aurora, I'm going to read this verbatim.
Yeah.
In VB6 Aurora, a fire control can only fire at a single target in any increment. For C# Aurora, an exception is made for fire controls firing in automatic fire and defensive fire mode. So this is the 10,000 kilometer mode.
Yeah.
A fire controller in this mode will continue to fire on incoming salvos as long as unfired weapons remaining. Each individual weapon or turret will only be able to engage a single salvo. This means point defense ships no longer need a larger number of fire controls, although there is still a design choice in redundancy. So essentially speaking, yes, one turret to one salvo. However, the fire control can engage multiple salvos. At once. Okay. So, and also the other ships are covering the other ships, right?
Sure.
So, what's happening is potentially what you've got is correct here, but I would say, in terms of the conversion ratio of how many quads you have, how much you're actually firing. I think. So you've got, how many turrets is that? 1, 2, 3. You got
something like 10.
10? Okay, and you're facing how many salvos?
10, 8, 9, 10. It's 11 turrets, and we were facing. Well, we can tell because we shot down.
Yeah.
We shot down. What is this? Okay, it must be 11. We shot down 11 salvos, and slightly more than that. So we're facing 24 salvos or so. Well.
Okay, so we're facing 24 salvos, and we've got one turret going against, presumably,
each. Because this is what I'm talking about. Chance to hit 86%, 16 shots, 5 missiles killed. Obviously, we're wasting a substantial number of missiles.
So I think the reason that you're facing this is, traditionally speaking, people who would design ships, and it's why I haven't really come across this kind of action, this kind of situation, is we would not use 100% hit rate turrets.
Right.
And so we would have a lot more turrets than this.
Right, yeah.
And so it wouldn't be an issue for people.
That makes sense.
What's happening is you have 2 turrets per ship?
I think in this case it might even be 1. No, it is 2, yeah.
So 2 turrets per ship, right?
2.
So yes, technically speaking, you are getting overwhelmed in that regard.
But what you're saying is half as accurate quad turrets that are still quad would be
in my opinion. So when you have 100%, it's much more reliable in that if you have a small number of missiles, as long as it's within that cap, you will probably 100% kill them, right?
Yeah.
But if you have, let's say 4 times as many turrets at 17% hit rate, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have 4 times the potential. And also, your ships will, let's say you've got 2 ships. You've got 20 turrets between them.
Yeah.
If the first turret does not kill the salvo, okay, the first salvo, the second turret will fire. Okay.
Yeah, understood. And it doesn't kill it. And they don't need to decide whether they're firing ahead of time. No. It's cool. No, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So because then you're being more efficient on your gear, and the relationship on this, apart from the 17% rounding, is linear. Meaning, if you know, the better way to change from effectively quad to twin is just to cut this in half. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, I'm going to do that.
It's much more kind of, if you look at 100% Ghost Cannon and you look at a 17% Ghost Cannon, the size is significantly smaller.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's 5 times smaller and 6 times smaller and slightly less than 6 times less accurate.
Yeah, that's traditionally why people use 17%.
Because it would be 16.66 would be the...
However,
is that right?
There is obviously, you can get very unlucky, right?
Sure, yeah, but I mean, that's like...
So the reliability can be wrong, but I prefer having that potential and also that additional ability to track a lot more salvos at once is obviously the main thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's only been a problem when I was in range of their size 1 missiles, which essentially is obviously...
Yeah, that's like AMMs. That's what we call AMM spam right there. Precursors are notorious for it.
Yeah.
So expect
okay, cool. I should start making a list.
Make a list.
There's things we should change. All right, so Gauss Cannon have linear size to accuracy. Go back to quad and size down. All right, cool, good. That's point 1 on the agenda.
I was kind of disagreeing you there with the original statement on how many salvos you could shoot. Because I wasn't sure if you were saying fire control, and also fun fact, 2.2 point defense rules are changing again.
Oh, fun! All right, well, we don't need to worry about that for
obsolete
now. We don't need to worry about that for now. That's for sure. Okay, so that's the point defense philosophy. Yeah. It's all Gauss. I haven't got whatever it's called, layered defense. I want to eventually, just because it seems fun. But for now, we're happy with final defensive fire.
Speaking of, that'll be a really more important than 2.2, because you'll be dealing with laser warheads that will detonate away from the target. So you need to shoot them down before they can detonate and release the laser.
That's very cool. Okay, so that's my defensive fire, and then they have the same range.
Yeah, that's a lot of fuel range.
Yeah, they're just designed to be exactly the same as the cruisers.
I'm surprised you put so much fuel on them in terms of range. Because you have so many bases with refueling stations.
I do. The annoying thing, let me show you a little bit about the topography of this world. So this is the hostile system. This is the closest refueling station on Lacus in Lac Isle. And the problem is, let's say you're the Lac Isle fuel harvesters. Yeah. And that's a bad example because that's the Super Jovian, not the who have we got around here? We should have Water Patrol. So the Water Patrol are my destroyer escort garrison of Lacus. And if we try to send the Water Patrol to the enemy homeworld, for example, it's already 14 billion kilometers.
Sure.
Meaning the round trip is 30. Meaning this ship actually
my question
only
is,
has 10 billion extra.
Why don't you just do what modern navies do and have tankers and colliers that fall behind the main fleet?
I do, but they when the enemy system was hostile, I basically couldn't use them in the enemy system.
Meaning you keep on the other side of the jump point?
I could, and I did, but then but a lot of this movement is in the enemy system. So doing that, essentially, I ended up running out of fuel shortly before getting back to the jump point, depending on how much running around I did in the enemy system. It's designed to give me cushion to run around in the enemy system.
It's not wrong to do this. I'm just surprised based on the fact that you like to do what I do, which is put refueling stations pretty much everywhere.
Sure.
It's essentially kind of, the analog would be the British Empire, right? America, for example, during the age of battleships and stuff, they had to have very long range ships because they had to go across the Pacific. Yeah, and they didn't have as many bases. But the British didn't really have to do that because they had bases pretty much everywhere.
Makes sense.
And so they were able to cut down on a lot of additional endurance because of that.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's the same concept. I don't think you're wrong in doing it like that, but it's definitely a peculiarity, at least, of this.
Sure, fair enough. One of the things that I think is fantastic about Aurora is the kind of ground-up naval doctrine invention that comes with it. I'm just gonna pause for 1 sec. I need to go and get some more water. I'll be right back.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Water is best.
Water is phenomenal. So then the flagship, very simple. It also has a bridge. It has no missile launchers. Instead, it has dramatically thicker armor and a bunch of point defense. It also has The
One thing that I noticed, by the way,
Yeah, go for it.
is your relationship with engineering and IFR. Okay. So do you know what IFR is?
It's basically the chance of something breaking, I think.
Within 5 days. Okay.
Right.
So the lower that number is, the less MSP you need for a given amount of time. Okay. So the relationship is engineering spaces bring the IFR down. I use IFR instead of AFR because it's more realistic of what you're expecting, and it's easier to kind of see.
Yeah.
So, for example, in this ship, I think that's what 9.3%. You have, in my opinion, a lot more maintenance storage than you would need for engineering spaces, because if you really want, like, as you get higher ships, bigger ships, you're just gonna have to have more MSP cost, obviously.
Sure.
But that IFR, getting that down to an acceptable level is how you reduce your MSP cost significantly.
Sure.
And I think initially, especially when I was watching some of your videos, you were confused about using maintenance storage or using engineering spaces.
Yeah, I think there's a ratio that someone worked out.
Generally,
rough,
my rule is enough engineering spaces until the IFR is acceptable.
Okay, that's a much easier rule to apply.
And then add maintenance storage when I want life. Okay.
Right.
When I want more maintenance life.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of time. But when the IFR is really high, you're going to be needing to spend a lot more maintenance storage bays.
Yeah.
Okay. To get that time. So
what is an IFR that you think is good, and does it vary on ship sizes?
It does hugely because the costs are all over the place, right? And the engineering space, unfortunately, you don't have like a tech level. Like you can't like get a better engineering space. So for something like a destroyer, like it'll be easy on a smaller scale. So if you look at like a destroyer, for like 15,000 tons, 10,000 tons, you're probably, I would say, acceptable IFRs for me would be between 2 and 4%.
Okay.
That would be kind of the IFR I'm looking at. For something that's like 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 tons, you're going to expect IFRs much higher. And this is actually the problem. It's like the law of big ships. Yeah. When you get humongous ships, okay, because engineering spaces don't improve, you are spending so much to try and keep the thing running.
Yeah. So
you have a really high IFR, and that means that eventually your ship has will bankrupt your empire in MSP costs before it gets out the dock.
Yeah. I did some maths, fortunately wrong, to work out that I needed like 100,000 gallicite a year. Fortunately, I had it multiplied by 4, but I think my fleet, I mean, I started dismantling part of it because we basically won the war and then immediately demilitarized the economy. But we were consuming like 30,000 gallicite a year in maintenance supplies for about a year.
Yeah.
But only for about a year, because it only took about a year to win the war once I actually deployed that god almighty fleet.
Like in real life, you know, a real life analog is always expect that you'll use more of your reserve minerals and resources than you do.
It's true, that's the other
This is especially true when you're playing missile fleets and you're like, I'm out of missiles and I just launched everything. My target.
Yes, that makes sense.
I'm defenseless, especially when you've got like box launchers and every destroyer has 100 missiles. And they're not cheap. So
I think I can show. Yeah. You can see pretty clearly when I started building
your stockpile just plummets.
But obviously,
I love the utilities. There's also Aurora electrons if you've
I haven't used that yet.
It's really good. It's like it's an Android kind of based version with a lot more graphics in this, and it kind of does a similar thing. But it gives you like alerts and stuff as well.
Okay, yeah, I should definitely check into that.
Cool.
This is a funny part of the graph.
What the hell is going on there? Why is it going a zigzag? Why is it coming back?
I think it's because we ran as I called it, a simulation, where we activated the raiders, saw how they went, and then
had a bit of a confuse,
and then rolled it back. The save, but Auto Marvin logs when you hit save rather than the actual current state of the database. So it.
I'm very surprised she didn't die to the raiders, by the way, because that when you don't know about them, and a lot of people are so passive, at least pre raiders. That's why I really like them, because it forces you to actually build something to defend yourself with. Because pre that, as long as you didn't activate like precursors and rackers, you just don't go to their system. You're fine.
Yeah.
Star Swarm, they can come to your system, but they're rare. And then invaders, well, it's not. If as long as you don't have an Aether Rift, you're fine. Okay.
Sure. On the way I'm playing this game, like I've tried to set it up for like pacing that suited me, and obviously I haven't played. Well, maybe not obviously, but obviously to me, I haven't played like. This is the first NPR I've ever beaten, for example. So I've never fought like raiders.
It's really good
and stuff.
for not playing much Aurora. It's really good. Most people don't even get to this point to beat an NPR.
What I've done is I've set, I think Starswarm is at like 100 systems and invaders are like 200 or something like that. So the idea was I would have like A, it's under my control when it happens, and B, it would be like I basically have as much as I can expand.
You can always change that as well.
With them. Only with the database editor, right?
Oh yeah, with that specific option. But you can toggle invaders off and on in game.
True. I could have done it
just
that way.
Fine.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, you could have just like kept them off, and then as soon as you wanted them, ding, and then you could.
Sure.
Then that's a totally viable way as well. But yeah, I totally get you. Invaders are. No, they're scary, but also I think sometimes people overestimate the spoilers a little bit too much.
Yeah, I'm sure I have, because I've played Aurora for like, I don't know how long I've played, because it's one of the few things I actually miss from like a more well-established like Steam game style thing is a tracker for how long I've had this game open, because it must be like 600
I kind of have a
hours.
tracker because I only really play when I'm recording.
Yeah,
so
well, I mean that's me
from my time
from now on, basically.
Yeah.
But, okay, so
that was kind of our ship doctrine.
Yeah, one thing that we haven't talked about on that though is missiles. So we're only actually using 2 types of missiles. I haven't obsoleted these just because I have stockpiles. We have our long-range missiles and our short-range missiles. And the short-range missiles are the anti-Dark Eldar, and this is the main anti-ship missile. I'm not using anti-missile missiles. I don't remember.
Just give me the engines, Zach, and I'll or open the missile window.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
10. Oh, that's pretty good tech. Engine power. What is that? Oh no. Okay. I was confused. I thought your max power boost was different. It's fine. Yeah. I mean, this tech's good. Again, so the ECM is rough for this tech level.
Yeah, that's definitely something I need to work on. The thing with these missiles as well is that these won't be good against the precursors, because the way I want to fight well, I don't know. It depends how good my point defense is against the precursors, which is so far untested. But I think the precursor. Hang on, I have the data on the precursor missiles are only flying at 38,400, so I should be able to shoot them down pretty easily because I have 32,000.
It's the AMM spam that will kill you because those missiles go at like 80,000 kilometers per second.
Yeah, well, I'm much faster than the precursors.
Yeah, but they're going to be okay. So, fun fact with precursors, there are different kinds of encounters. And there are certain encounters where they will have 400,000 tons of ships.
I think honestly, I mean, so they have approximately 100 million range on their missiles. What I tend to do. Oh, sorry. The precursor, the long range precursor missiles.
Yeah.
What I intend to do is essentially build a 125,000 kilometer range missile, and then just not let them shoot me.
Yeah. So I mean, the main thing is if you can break PD or not. I mean, that's why alpha salvos are king, and that's why missiles are trying to be changed at the moment to make it from a zero-sum game to a leakers. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
To like a 95% game.
Sure.
So the problem is literally just going to come down to how many missiles can you do at that range. Like you could go, for example, 2-stage missiles. And fit a booster stage to get you to that 120, and then just fit your existing missiles onto that. However, the cost for an approximate salvo size is going to be significantly higher, and you've got to design a new ship. So
sure. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. That's definitely the next challenge.
Yeah, definitely. With precursors, do you know what you're facing against these precursors?
Yeah. Let me check what we saw.
Is it just the station boys? Is it just the basic boys? No, okay.
They have a pretty large fleet.
Decent amount of ships, okay. Because sometimes you just get like the 3 stations and then the little ruins. And,
which bodes well for this. I think it's probably this planet.
So, precursors it's why I said in my recent series I just released recently, when you increase ruin chance, you increase chance of precursors because precursors spawn at ruins, and they have ruins. I don't think they get any bonuses to like, except for where ruins can spawn. Like ruins have they get bonus of ruins, and ruins can only spawn on certain planets.
Yeah.
In terms of ability, but that doesn't guarantee minerals. Rackers, they do guarantee more minerals and a more habitable world.
Cool.
That's supposed to be the reward.
Sure.
So precursors are supposed to be and raiders. Well, raiders can't supplant them. It's supposed to be test your ships out, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Rackers are supposed to be test your ground forces out.
Sure. Makes sense.
Okay. Because they can't actually go anywhere.
Yes.
They have STOs at best.
No space hulks for these.
No space hulks. Unfortunately, I'm sure Steve will probably do that in 2 years, and it'll be terrifying. But,
2 years is a very optimistic time frame.
The game's only been out for 3 years, and it's on 2.1.
It's true. It's true.
That's pretty good for Steve.
Has it really only been 3 years? Feels like
less than 3 years because we're not in April yet.
Huh,
April 2020 was when C# came out.
Ah, you mean C#? Right, yeah. I was gonna say.
Yeah, because VB6 is not the same game.
Sure,
code,
yeah.
Obviously, the principles, but
sure.
I think the main thing that we're going to probably be looking at here and helping you with is the ground forces.
Yeah, so I don't know how much ground forces we're going to do today because they barely exist, but we can talk some.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the missiles. That's these ones, and then I just want to talk through like some of the commercial ships I have, and then we can talk about
like if you've got any questions of like, was this bad?
Sure. Well, the latest thing I've done, and I'm sure it's funny, is this is all right. Stay with me. This was for testing purposes. But this is the 1,000,000-ton fuel harvesting station.
Yeah.
So I built 100,000. I built 100,000 one and a million one, just because I wanted to test out, see how they went. Because obviously the main advantage for the 1,000,000-ton one is micro. You know, I need 10 times less micro clicks on a tug to move this.
Yeah, basically. But you need a bigger tug to be able to move it.
Well, or I could just move it really slowly. So the where are the tugs? I think they're the dumbbell class. Here they are. So they have 100. They have 10,000 engine power on them, and I think that will be able to move it at about 500 kilometers a second, maybe 550.
You can actually figure this out through the ship optimizer.
Yes, I could, but I did it more approximately, which is it's currently. I suppose actually the other way I could figure it out is just by doing this, and then like, turning off no armor, and then just putting the engine on it. No, why didn't that work? Because
that's not how.
That's the wrong.
I'm pretty sure that's not how that works.
Why not?
I remember my formula correctly.
It should be about that. I mean, because the vast majority of this ship is the engine.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably move it at decent speed. I would imagine like 500 kilometers per second.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the slowest thing in the world.
Yeah. To answer a question in my chat, do we have a recommendation for a beginner guide? You have a video series.
Can I link in the in the thing? I'm not sure if like your auto model or something.
Nope, there's links are allowed.
Okay. So what I would initially recommend is go read information. I'm trying to find the Reddit post really quick because there was a beautiful Reddit post that I made a while ago which had basically everything in it about like all the resources and stuff that you want to be looking at.
So while you do that, so this 1,000,000-ton station harvests 40 million liters of fuel per annum.
Yeah,
which is
but that's not the real amount.
It's before tech, and the tech is like
before bonus.
And before bonus. So I'm gonna.
It's not before tech. It's before bonus.
Is it not before tech?
Into account.
Oh, that's weird. Why is it such a round number? Is that just
fuel production is accounted for. Your fuel production tech is how much it produces.
It's bizarre that it's already such a round number.
Because they're round.
They're not in order. Oh, that's heinous. Oh yeah, I need to find the database edit that lets me not have things say large, small, very small, tiny, large.
Yeah.
Because there used to be a mod that made these numbers, but
so that link or go to that. You'll find my channel through that. You'll find a bunch of Let's Plays through that. But most importantly, at the bottom, you will find links to the Aurora Reddit, the Aurora Discord, and those are two are really, really useful. What I would recommend to start with in terms of my series is get a basic idea for the mechanics. First off, you gotta like the game. So you've obviously liked the games you're watching. Get a basic idea for the mechanics to like some of the short stories about how the UI works and stuff like that. And then watch the Commercial Starting Steps Remastered series. And essentially that series is me playing, but talking through literally every single action I do and why I do them. So you get an actual understanding of how to play the game instead of just copy exactly what you're doing. And then from there, there's a bunch of other videos and ask questions. The Aurora Discord, I'm sure Christo can attest to it.
Yep.
Everyone's really great in there.
Definitely.
Really friendly. You can literally know nothing and we'll help you. It doesn't matter.
And for those watching on YouTube, the link to that will be in the description, so you can use that as a starting point for yourselves as well, if you haven't already.
Yeah. Aurora's, even I have to ask questions about things sometimes, even though definitely. The one thing I will red herring warn you away from: do not use the wiki.
The wiki tends to be pretty bad.
I know it's very standard for people to think, oh, game, I don't know thing, look up thing on wiki. And that's perfectly normal. Unfortunately, the wiki isn't maintained, and it can be very confusing, and you can get like the wrong version, and it's the C# version of the wiki is basically just they copy pasted the changelog anyway. So I would recommend ask questions and go on the forums and look at the changelog. Because they have there's a table of contents. You can just read. Okay, this is what this does.
He's very good at writing changelogs. Is Steve? Much like if
that's
you.
Not... Oh, you mean the changelog? But the table of contents written by a guy called Foggiest.
No, I mean the actual change logs themselves. He describes it in the way you'd expect a programmer to describe things, aka And
though sometimes he can confuse people.
He can, but I mean, we're used to like Paradox patch notes, and they're so much better.
Hey, I would, to be fair to Paradox, the dev diaries and stuff like that.
The dev diaries are good. The patch notes themselves are auto-generated out of their technical development system, and it's not very good.
Well, they rely on the dev diaries, right? That's what I understand.
Yeah. Anyway, we're pushing it out here, so we need to make some headway. So let's look at what else. Oh yeah, so we're talking about ships. So yeah, I've never used a station before at all before inventing these, so we're just going to see how those go, and we'll see.
You know how to build them, right?
Yep, I've already built them. The tugs came second. I mean, I invented at the same time, but tugs take longer to build. So we've got that. Then we've got a troop transport ship. Again, just very simple. Recently got its massive speed boost. It also has a small thermal sensor on it. So to detect dark.
You can have a size 1 active, thermal, or EM, and it will still be commercial.
It's size 1 is the limit. Okay, good to know.
Yes.
I was playing
on
with
all size 1 and below.
Then we have this terraforming ship. Terraforming station. Which is 10 million tons.
That cost is
Yeah, I need to find some more Brondite before I can build this.
I was gonna bankrupt you within like.
Look. Okay. I think. Why can't I build this?
Prototype part?
No.
You didn't put it no armor. It's not actually a station.
Oh yeah, there we go. Good spot. So I hadn't tried actually building that yet. So yeah, it only costs 100,000 uranium.
That's only 1/4 of your entire stockpile of uranium.
100,000 Brondite. That's hilarious.
That's 4 times as much as you have.
I'll be not very long.
That wealth cost, Jesus.
Yeah, I know. So this is an absolutely comedic ship, which is essentially designed to just be the answer to the question: is there such thing as too little terraforming micromanagement?
That is the crew count on that. 40,000.
So I wanted to build a 100,000, a 1 million, and a 10 million just to kind of see what I liked. I think we're probably going to settle on the 1 million because this is just stupid. 100,000. I love that.
Oh man, like
15
you got 4 of these, you bankrupt yourself.
15 Corbomite.
You can actually see the resource breakdown if you look at the components and see what's costing that 15 currently.
Yeah, it's true. It'll be the.
It's probably
bridge.
Like the bridge or something.
Yeah, there you go, bridge.
Yeah,
that's very funny. But yeah, I mean this bad boy. 3 of these can do more than the entire atmosphere of Earth every year before bonuses, which is, I mean, that's pretty good. You got to admit,
that's pretty good.
That's Venus terraforming right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a fun fact with the terraforming is the bigger the world, you get a modifier.
Yes.
That goes down in proportion to Earth. So it's not going to effectively be that. but it could also be quicker than that. As well.
Yeah, when I say that, when I said it can create that many Earth atmospheres, I did mean that. But yeah, right now we're terraforming this one, I think. No, we're not. Where is it? Right, we're very, very slowly terraforming this one, but then we're more rapidly terraforming this one.
More rapidly terraforming.
Small
How have you
one.
found the terraforming, or have you been confused?
Good. Nope, terraforming's pretty
Is that
easy.
helium?
I'm pulling the helium was already there. That was not me.
You just add a bunch of helium for the lols.
Yeah, we have. Here's my terraforming fleet. There's quite a few ships in it. But this bad boy can do. This fleet can do 0.6.
That's a lot of fuel just in terraform.
I know, just sitting there, not doing much. This terraforming fleet, though, if I select it on the map, we were using for something more entertaining. Because this is the alien homeworld. And if we go to here,
you're gassing them?
we can perhaps see they're not loving the methane and iodine that I've added to their atmosphere.
You could also put sulfuric acid or chlorine gas or any other fun combination of World War I gas.
I picked the gas which at the lowest parts per million rendered it a dangerous atmosphere.
Okay.
But if we create a colony on their world briefly...
No, but there's also... Oh, God, what is it? Is it dangerous? There's another one if you like toxicity or something. I forget. Maybe.
Yeah, where is it?
You could boil the hydrosphere.
So that would be difficult because it's currently minus 127 degrees, because of the sheer quantity of dust in
Yeah.
Because where's the just because of the amount we shot at it. So you've
probably frozen the hydrosphere now at this point.
Yes.
So that doesn't do the same thing, unfortunately. They can still access the water somehow.
Sure. But yeah, they're not loving the dangerous atmosphere, and so they're at...
Well, remember, that's your species to them.
It is, but they're not loving it either, because I did a biopsy, so I know... Which is a very cool mechanic, by the way. But yeah, so we know that their tolerances are not hugely different, apart from being able to tolerate very hot temperatures. But they do not like the cold.
No, they don't seem to like the cold. They don't like if you could just sap out the oxygen.
Yeah. Thing is, though, they're already at 2 colony costs, so making it not breathable will have no impact on the colony cost.
So, now, here's the problem. Okay. Let me talk to you a little bit about...
Yeah.
Talk to a little bit about exploiting the natives.
Yeah.
You're kind of killing the pot, but the ground forces, they're still going to be there because they don't care.
I have learned that, which makes it annoying because these terraformers are unbelievably slow, and it took them like half a year to fly here. But anyway, I do like this. Just seems
so you're kind
funny.
of just killing your workforce at this.
No,
point.
I have no interest in an alien workforce. This seems complicated.
But the forced labor camps, we can put them in. We literally can forced labor camps.
I know, but I'd
send
rather...
them to die on a Venusian world somewhere, okay?
I could.
And they have to work to death in the forced labor camp.
We could, but I think I'd rather just have them quietly euthanized
on their homeworld.
I think maybe we're treating them like Skaven. We deny officially that they exist, so we need to make them
inhabit this world at least.
No, it's massively radioactive, and will be for a long time.
Did you nuke it?
Not intentionally. I just shot at their surface to orbit with a couple of hundred, maybe a couple of thousand size 6 missiles.
I only dropped the equivalent of like the entire Earth nuclear arsenal.
When one salvo, and I was firing 12 at a time, had like 12 million civilian casualties associated with each.
So for example, one warhead strength is 100,000 dead people.
Yeah. We did a lot of damage. It's got it's got minus 100% industrial. It's got so much atmospheric dust. But look, there's not that much here anyway.
The accessibility though.
The accessibility is nice, but when we're looking at
Earth.
Yeah, but like, see, this is another of my like bad brain situations. You see this planet with the 0.1 and a bunch of things. I love it because this means it's going to be self-sustaining forever.
Yeah, but a bit too forever. If you know
I know. But anyway, so I haven't got that long, by the way. So let's do some kind of, let's finish. Okay, for today, let's finish doing our civilian ships, and then next time we can talk maybe like Empire logistics and ground forces and invading. Yeah.
Maybe my video will be out by then. You can watch it.
Yeah, it's a good point. So terraforming station that we're not using yet. This is the terraformer ship. This is actually now obsolete. I'm not going to build any more of those because we're switching to stations because the stations are massively more Gallicite efficient, which is the main reason I want to switch.
But most importantly, you can build it with industry instead.
It's actually not the most important. The most important is that we have no Gallicite. I have plenty of shipyards and I have plenty of people to work the shipyards. It's just the Gallicite. I recognize that might be the most important normally, but I'm just saying.
You have a 1 million ton shipyard.
I do have. No, true, but I could build. I have a. I mean, if we look,
where's all our Gallicite going?
We don't have a 1 million ton shipyard, but I was using. Where's it gone? We did have 8 93,000 ton ones, so.
I can't believe how many labs you have, by the way.
I know. I do have, what is it, like 500 or something. Anyway, so then we have the tankers, very simple. Yeah. The survey vessels, so I recently changed the survey vessels. Then they're no longer designed to die. So they have active sensors, and they're faster than the Dark Eldar. Previously, they were much slower.
I bet the crews are feeling great about that.
Yeah, I these guys should be pretty chuffed.
And very, your deployment time's extremely low.
Yeah?
I would be at this stage in the game. My survey ships would be like 8 years, 7 years.
Okay, that's interesting.
Time periods.
At the moment, we were just doing quite limited survey because, like, as soon as I found a hostile, we basically ceased survey operations.
Yeah,
I dealt with them. So they weren't out for that long. You know, we've only surveyed like 25, 26 systems.
So, for example, like my first survey vessels would probably be like 100 billion kilometer range, 60 months deployment time, and then 6 years of maintenance life, and then 2, 3, 4 geological and gravitational.
Yeah.
Because again, they're gonna be spent. You think they're gonna use less fuel than you think they are?
Sure.
Because the majority of their time is spent
sitting,
surveying, not actually moving.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's the surveys.
I like that.
I'm using my destroyer engines just for not having to research as many. Stabilization ship. Have you got
lag range points?
Yes. So
Okay.
one thing about the stabilization ships, they are very good. One thing about the stabilization ships is when I first started playing my first campaign, I thought these were jump gates. So I had like 17, 18 of them on every jump point that I wanted to be able to use.
What's the cost of that?
It was expensive. That was in the first game, not this one.
You know that there's a legitimate actual version of that called a jump tent. Like that would have been the actual. Like.
Yeah, fair enough. Hang on a sec. Right, sorry, I'm back. I told my wife I'd be 5 minutes like 10 minutes ago, so I'm going to be 5 minutes from now, and I've started a timer.
5 minutes from now, you don't want to upset the wifey, okay? The Mrs. Christo is gonna take my channel down with copyright. So
that's the stabilization ship. Pretty simple. It can't go as far because it's hefty.
Speed Aurora, let's go.
Scout ship.
Got a scout.
Yes, this is the scout ship. It's very similar to the survey ship, but without the survey stuff on it.
Modularity, baby.
Yeah, nice and simple. Very low IFR on this bad boy.
Yep.
Salvager, the bin men.
The bin men. Have you used them yet? Probably
I've
not.
used them a bunch on Dark Eldar ships.
Which again, that's probably why you ain't seen so much Dark Eldar anymore, because you've been getting rid of all the wrecks, and they're now poor because they've lost all their stuff.
Yes, but the stuff that they've stolen off them is abysmal. They're like 4.
They've got very good cloaking tech though.
They do, yes. I haven't actually gotten any of their cloaking things recently, which is annoying.
That is sad because they have 90%, I think, 95% reduction.
Yeah, it's something like that. Because they're actually 8,000 and show up as 800. The current ones.
Yeah, they have very good cloaking tech, which is like their one good thing.
This is the replenishment ship, the Badger. It carries 100,000 maintenance supply points.
I like to have like one ship that has like all the fuel, maintenance supplies, and everything, and I call that like military support tanker thing.
The reason I could do that, in fact I should do that, but the reason I'm not doing that is that some of my ships, like the maintenance supply ships, the replenishment ships, resupply stations, resupply populations with maintenance supply points, even when they're not like actively following the military.
I just have
stuff.
like normal tankers, normal supply ships, normal couriers,
and
then they have like a military like fast one.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Stuff on it.
That's a good
and
idea.
that just follows my fleet around like, hey, you need your caddy essentially.
Then we have the old fuel harvesters that are now obsolete.
That's not a lot of storage.
No, but that's fine. I had them because they're regular. Yeah. Then we have the freighter and the colonial, which can be done on the same.
Have you heard about the concept of the box?
The box? No.
The box.
Is the box a 2.5 minute concept?
Maybe. We
All
take a
right,
tug,
go.
we take a station that's a cargo space, and we attach tug to station that's cargo space.
What's the advantage?
We can build all of it with industry and change out and only build one ship called a tug. So we can. You want terraformers? Slap terraformer box. You want cryogenics? Slap cryogenic box. You want military transport? Slap the military transport box on it.
That is interesting. All right, investigate the box concept.
Box
design. Good. Yep, I will look into that. And then we have coilers, which just carry missiles. And we have
colliers.
Colliers. Yeah, that's right.
No I before the L.
No, it's true, but that's fine. So that we have one for each type of missile that I want to move, such that I don't have to I can just have some of each rather than having to constantly reassign what they have on them. And then that's my time.
I'm generally impressed. I think you've done generally speaking a pretty good job. I do think you've played enough that you're starting to learn pretty heavily. Oh my god. Okay, that's
There was a lot of them.
If that doesn't attract a raider fleet, I don't know what.
Yeah, I need to stay in here, I guess. That's a good point. I didn't know that the raiders would go after like vulture wrecks. That's really good to know.
Yeah, they will. They'll also steal your populations and enslave them.
Yes, that's why they're all defended.
Yeah, but I think you've done a pretty good job. I think, obviously, the ship designs aren't too bad. A lot of it's personal preference, but there's nothing jarring. I think the IFR is probably the biggest thing for me.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
In terms of your management of your colonies, having 10 million people is not great. But,
Sure. All right, brilliant. Well, it's been a great pleasure. In the next episode of the Empire tour, we should talk a little bit about how I'm managing industry and mining and stuff. And then we can talk how I'm going to deal with the 434,000 tons of ground forces.
Is it how much?
434,000, down from 500,000. Because
that's probably 1.5 million tons. What's the world, real quick? What is the world? Is it terrain-wise?
Is it what, sorry?
What's the terrain of the world?
Ah, right. Terrestrial.
Oh, it's barren. Okay. Terrain's barren. If there's nothing there in the terrain column, it's barren.
Okay, got it.
That probably has 1 million tons of stuff on it, which means you need 3 million tons of ground forces, probably, to be there.
So I might... There's the other idea that someone said on... I can't remember if it was Reddit or the... Or was it you, actually? I can't remember. Was the idea of this kind of thing?
Yeah, but you're just going to kill the pot. The ground forces, the's very low hit rates for missiles against ground forces. So
that's probably why.
If
the other thing is potentially a laser.
You have to fight them. Yeah.
Or I could invent a really missile. I need to find a missile supply point efficient way of lasering.
Unfortunately, the facts is that orbital weapons are just awful at hitting, and that means they're really ineffective versus like millions of tons of ground forces.
Sure.
And so, unfortunately, it's not the best. So you're gonna put, if you want the world. If you don't want the world, I guess just.
I don't want the world, but I want them to not exist.
Then just kill their population and forget they ever exist.
Nah, I want them to actually not exist.
Then you're gonna have to send in the bush.
I know. All right, well, we'll talk about the boys next time. But until then, thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you then.